Hello. I wanted to pop on and say hello. It's been a while and I wanted to get in here and I have some stuff that I want to share. And so when I feel inspired, I'm like, I got to get on there. I got to do it. I have just like this short little window of time. So I thought I would come on and see how you are doing and talk to you about something that has been percolating for me. And it's this concept of healing forward instead of healing backwards. And so if you're joining me live, say hello. Hey, Christina, how are you? So first of all, what is healing? Everybody's got a different idea of healing. Maybe you think that healing is for when you're broken or something's wrong with you or you've had so much trauma and so it's made you not know how to cope. I actually find healing, I simplify it to be healing is simply coming home to yourself, to the highest, most brilliant version that you can be. And hey, Megan, good to see you. So if healing is coming home to ourselves, then the game is getting rid of the things that aren't true and reclaiming the parts of ourselves that maybe have been frozen in time in the past and becoming the most whole, like most potent, amazing, authentic version of ourselves. And so in the healing journey, so much of it, right, is, if you think about it, it's time traveling. It's a time traveling game. You can go backwards and you look at, where did these limiting beliefs or these subconscious programs and all these things come from? Why do I operate like this in my reality? And the only reason you're going to ask those questions, by the way, I hope, is because something's not working in your reality. I don't want you excavating and looking for things unnecessarily. I think that healing is the way the divine sequencing of life works is that you're always being informed of what you need to work on, because you might be stuck or you can't move past something, or you might find that you have massive resistance towards something, and the resistance is even there to inform you of something that needs to be worked on. Because when we become very masterful at our journey in this reality, we're not necessarily pushing things by, you might have something where you're like, I don't want to deal with that. But as you start to heal and have more capacity in your nervous system, you realize, if I just keep pushing that away, there's a pretty good chance it's just going to keep coming back through another relationship or another situation, circumstance in my life. So it's actually not resisting anything and allowing. Healing is really allowing. I want you to think about a time in your life when you really had a big healing moment. And maybe you were at a big transformational retreat, or you were doing something, or you were writing in your journal. I don't know. But I can't really tell you if I could identify the moment that something happened that allowed me to heal, because it just happened. It just was something like all of a sudden my consciousness, the way that I would react to something in my reality just shifted. So sometimes there's this concept that we have to do all these things in order to heal. And yes, there's things in reality that facilitate and guide us back home to ourselves to heal. Practitioners, different types of situations. But I think you'll find, somatically speaking, when you heal, it's because you're allowing your body to release and let go of the things that have been keeping you blocked or stuck. So the reason I want to have this conversation is because healing backwards, going back to this time traveling concept that I have, we are these multi-dimensional beings. Quantum physics has proved that. And there's multiple timelines and possibilities that are occurring all at the same time. And so you can't, just say you could go in the future. You can also go in the past. You can go back to the past. You can revisit a situation. You can rewrite the situation. And so if you're going to be going backwards, I propose you make it really meaningful. You go backwards, not because you want to go back and be the victim of something and kind of go back and regurgitate it and say, oh my God, when this person did this thing to me, and and then all of a sudden you start to feel in your body the emotions, and then before you know it, you're living this thing all over again as if it was happening right now. And your mind, your brain does not know the difference. It has no idea that this thing that you're thinking about that maybe happened years ago, that you're recalling and speaking about, is not even happening in this moment, but it's going to have it's going to have a effect on your physical body, where certain biology and chemistry is going to be happening within you because of this reaction that you're having. So in my healing forward concept, you go backwards sometimes because you're a time traveler, but you go back not because you want to continue to relive an event and stay in the victimization of it. You go back because you want to be empowered and you want to get the medicine. And some events, I can just hear somebody listening to this going, well, what if something terrible happened to me? There's an opportunity to look back at most things, and see how it could have impacted us in a sense that we could grow and evolve. And when you can see the growth and the evolution, it gets easier to attach a new meaning to whatever happened to you. And it's not easy work. I mean, sometimes it's really challenging and difficult, especially depending on the severity of what happened to you. But it's the only way to be free and to create a new reality, a new future. You cannot create a future if you're a different type of future than what you've already had if you're still stuck on a past loop. Because nothing's changing within your frequency, your energy, with what you're attracting in. So going backwards in time to heal, there has to be discipline and diligence. I really believe over how long you're going to allow yourself to tell the same story. Because there is medicine in telling the truth of what happened and then finding the reframe, the rewrite. I talk about this often. That's one of the pillars of my coaching, is this thing called the rewrite. You go back, you bring the new meaning to it, so that all of a sudden, this is what I want you to think about. If you were the victim of something in the past, let's say your ex-boyfriend that you were madly in love with cheated on you, okay? And it's awful. And why would that be a good thing for you? Well, if you look at it and you go back and you feel all the feelings, and he did this and this happened to me and when that happened and it was so awful, and you could start to feel your stomach churn and all these kinds of things. And maybe it's created this story that you don't trust men as much, or this could happen to you again, and all these kinds of things, right? That's because you're in a victim energy with it, which I know might sound harsh. But the bigger piece that I want you to see is your frequency and where that will take you. Because as a energetic being that is going to send out this sinus wave out into the quantum field, it is not going to be a coherent frequency. It's not going to be a high frequency. It's going to be a low frequency. So you're going to get back a lot of situations that probably mimic the way that you feel. This happens to me. Why does this, until you do the work. So the alternative is that you go back to the situation and you go, God, you know what? Because that happened to me, it really taught me to notice red flags. It taught me to have better boundaries, to create a non-negotiable. And I met somebody incredible later, or I'm single and I'm loving my life and I'm traveling and I'm doing all the things I never would have done before. There is some, alternative way that you can see it. So when you start to go, well, maybe in some weird turn of events, I can actually have a level of acceptance. In some ways, you might even have appreciation for what has occurred, because you can see how it opened you up and it was part of your soul's evolution and growth. And then it led you on a certain path. And then all of a sudden, when you see it from that place, you send out a different frequency out into the quantum field, allowing you to get different results. So that's why I like to go backwards. But the reason I talk about healing forward is because most of the time, if you don't have a vision for who you want to become, it's almost like operating in a way that you know, it's like our society is very much based on goals and all these kinds of things, but this is more about how you want to feel. Like, it's identifying some future thing that you want and asking yourself the very simple question of, who do I need to become in order for that to happen? Maybe you need to be more confident. Like, if you want to go write a book, like, you're going to have to change maybe the way you're living your life. Get up early in the morning, set aside 2 or 3 hours, hire an editor. I mean, there's different things that go with every different thing. If you want a new job, but it gets you in a dialogue and a conversation with the universe. And it gives you something that you get to start working towards. And it's not future tripping where it's like, well, I won't be happy until this thing happens. That's a misconception if people are manifesting just to say, when I get this thing out there, then I'm going to be a happy person. That's slowing down the manifestation process. The truth of it is you become that energy now. And you use that feeling as the compass. If you're on a journey and you're going to a destination and you know you want to get somewhere, your compass is your feelings and the beliefs that you are employing within yourself to move towards the reality that you desire. And so instead of just kind of being, I love the present moment, but instead of just being in the present moment and being in the familiar past, because that's the truth of it. If you're not thinking about who you get to become, you're literally living in your comfort zone where you stay safe, you have the same routine, you do things all the same way and all these things. That's great sometimes, especially when you're like going through a really difficult time in your life. You do need the creature comforts and the routine and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to shift and you want to grow and you want to evolve and you want to have more, and it's okay to want more. So healing forward, you're still time traveling, but this time you're traveling into the future, a year, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years. And you start to meet with your inner elder and this aspect of you that's already experienced this reality. And you get to borrow from her and you get to, or him, and talk to them and find out, what do I need to do to become you? What does it feel like to be you? An understanding in reality creation that if you can dream it and feel it and visualize it, there is a timeline that exists in this quantum universe where you are really doing that. The trick is to magnetize that in and do it in such a way that it doesn't take years and years and years and years and years. So healing doesn't just have to be going backwards. To do that, yes, you have to kind of identify the subconscious beliefs and the programs that are creating the operating system that have created your current reality. And every single one of us can look at some part of our reality and be like, you know what? It's good, but I want it better. I want it better. I want a hot, sexy, more alive relationship with my partner. Not me. I already have that. To be honest, I'm just saying for people in general. I actually have that one. Maybe you want to have more abundance. Maybe you want to be on more stages. Maybe you want to be the CEO of your company. I have no idea. But if I ask you, what is your dream? What is the thing that you're working on? And you're just like, I don't know. I don't want anything. Well, that's great. Maybe you're living very simply, but I'm going to invite you to think about what your next expansion is going to be. Because if you don't have an idea of how you want to feel, if you haven't looked at your life and taken inventory, then you're on automatic pilot for sure. You really are. You're on automatic pilot. So pausing finding the stillness within your reality and just looking at it from an observing eye, zooming out versus being zoomed in. And as you're zoomed out, asking yourself, what's the content of my life? If I knew that I only had a certain amount of time on this planet and I want to make a difference, am I living my life to its fullest? And some of you, maybe not. Maybe some of you are like, yes, I am. But what would you want more of? What would you want to grow? Would you want a better relationship with your children? It doesn't have to be. This isn't about like it has to be money oriented. It could be. It's about fulfillment. And when we are not growing, we are stagnating. And you know what happens when you're stagnant? You know, when there's like, think of a stagnant body of water and, you know, what happens to it? Algae, and it gets, you know. So looking at this as an opportunity when you think about healing forwards is that you have a vision and imagine it. You're employing and using your imagination to see that one area of your life and be like, if I could really shift that, this is what I want to see. And what would that feel like? So when you're healing and when you're dealing with the discord of life, because let's be real, there's lots of challenges, so much beauty and so much challenge sometimes. And if all you're focused on is just like getting up every day and going through the motions, it's going to be hard to like feel that level of passion and excitement and pleasure. Because I want you to be able to feel pleasure even if there's something really challenging in your life. And this is something I've really been mastering these last months. Because I have something that I'm working on behind the scenes that's not worth speaking about, but it's challenging. It has nothing to do with my work or anything like that, but it's challenging in the sense that it's asking me to have faith and optimism, to see the timeline that I desire, to hold the frequency of that. And you know where the healing comes in, because you might be like, well, how do you heal from that? Or how does healing forward support? So when I get triggered, and I'm going to say, I'll say a story, but when you get triggered as well, you have a choice every single time to go back into the familiar past and operate and react to it the way that, and have the perspective from how you used to be, or you have the opportunity to speak to your future self that has the thing that you already want and start to feel into that. But it takes discipline and moving slow. Because if you are a masterful creator of your reality, you know that you're not going to react how you used to. So part of the healing is taking a moment and being, well, if my dreams are coming true, if everything that's happening to me right now is part of a divine sequence, even though it's challenging, even though it doesn't look like the way that I want it to be, if I trusted and had faith that I'm still moving in the direction of my dreams, and then I'm going to get there, how would I respond? Feel the difference in your body. It's the difference between contracting, it's not working out, and all the stories and the survival mechanisms of the autonomic nervous system that are going to kick in, and all the things that are going to happen when you're triggered, which may still happen, but instead of letting that be the voice of your reality, you stop. And you can hear and you can feel maybe your body kind of going, ooh, I'm challenged right now. I'm going to go sweep my kitchen for an hour. That's what I do. I'm going to sweep it. I'm going to clean my house to move the energy in my body. And then I'm going to stop and I'm going to remember what I asked for, what I'm working towards. And I believe in such a benevolent and brilliant universe that will often, it's not a test, it's just reality, bring you some challenges on the path towards your dreams. and you get to rewrite the way that you would show up. So I could say, oh my God, my inner 3-year-old's on, responding to this because I feel this way. And I could go into all the stories and all the things. You could. And sometimes that's really helpful if it's a pattern that keeps showing up. Or you could heal forwards and just be like, oh, what is my future self? What is the new pattern and operating system I am committing to? That would allow me to expand even during a time where I feel really scared or whatever it may be. It's a different way of thinking. Reality creation futuring is very different than traditional models. And what's even more interesting about it, I find, and when I'm mentoring in this, is that the brain wants to stay in the safe thinking. The brain wants to stay in the old. So in my mentorship, it's really important that I'm showing women, that's who I primarily work with, how they could reprogram in the moment, in their life. Not, like theoretically speaking, like when this thing happens to you 6 months from now or 3 weeks from now, like, no, how are you dealing with that anxiety that you're feeling today? Because that is informing you that you don't trust life. Maybe you had too much coffee that morning, but a lot of the times anxiety is because you're not trusting life. So I shared all this. I really had no agenda except for the fact that I just want to bring some awareness to what's possible and how healing is moving in a new direction. And I am a way shower for that. This is my area of expertise, is reality creation and futuring. I love working on the past. I love constellation work. I intuitively can see where people are stuck from their past. I can see patterns. It's my gift. But it doesn't mean much if you don't know where to go with it. If you don't know how to course correct and move towards something else than what you've already been doing over and over and over again, right? So I want you to I'm going to leave you with this last thought. What is the thing in your life right now that really, if you could align with your future vision, could really shift you and bring you some hope and maybe some expansion and some opening somatically in your body to feel something different than what you've been feeling? Because this is a feeling game, right? It's a being in the body game. So sending you so much love. If you are curious about working with me, I have 2 spots open for mentorship for healers, guides, and leaders that really want mentorship on their healing practice. I have that open right now. I'm super excited. This is something that I've never really offered in this way, but it's one-on-one coaching. And it's for somebody that just wants to up level and they want to learn more about reality creation and futuring, and they want to maybe channeling my multidimensional healing skills, whatever it is, I can support them where they're at. So that's my first thing. And then I have my Majestic mastermind that is open. It's incredible. I just started the first cohort. So if you're interested in being a year-long mastermind where there's going to be futuring and reality creation for an entire year, think about who you're going to be after a year. A badass. That is open. And then last but not least, I have a smaller offering. That's my new moon. Well, it's my futuring new moon rituals, which is the first one is going to be on June 16th. And I've created this whole cool way to do some guided hypnosis to help you speak to your higher self and get the directives to help you in this, like work with the cosmos, but get really into like some really amazing, specific reality creation. And that is a membership for 12 months for $333. So I love that offer because it's anybody could do it. And you get to travel for a whole year with me in these new moons, which are once a month for 60 minutes. So anyways, it was so great to see you. And if you're listening to the replay of this, #replay, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. Okay, take care.